Warning! This video is recommended for ages 13 and up. Watching cartoons is definitely one of the coolest things in the world.
Yep.
But have you ever noticed all the times adult jokes were slipped into your favorite cartoons? One of the cartoons with the most adult jokes is The Amazing World of Gumball. You'll surely remember the episode where the protagonist gets so bothered by Alan and Carmen's relationship that he tries to prove in every way that the green balloon isn't as perfect as it seems. And after committing various atrocities, like even selling a classmate's parents to a party animator, Gumball finally manages to make Alan feel bad, and he ends up deflating. Regretful, Gumball helps his classmate, but to do so, he needs to blow up the balloon so it's filled. Right after, we see them leaving the bathroom. Carmen's boyfriend super happy, while the blue cat had the face of someone traumatized. If you didn't get it, it's kind of like Gumball had to put his mouth on Alan's behind and blow. Man, after understanding that, you can see why the protagonist made that face when he left the bathroom. All this to save a friend. And that's just the first of many adult jokes hidden in various cartoons that we'll show you now. Moving on to one of Disney's most famous movies from the 2000s, let's talk about Ratatouille, when there's one of the quickest adult jokes that few people noticed. When Linguini tells Colette that he has a very important little secret to tell her, he makes a gesture with his fingers to indicate small. Since she didn't know what he was talking about, notice how quickly she looks down and then looks back at Linguini. If you didn't get it, let me explain. When he makes the gesture with his fingers, she thinks he's talking about what's tucked away in his pants, if you catch my drift. But in reality, he was talking about Remy, who was the little chef cooking in his place. So that's definitely an adult joke that few caught. But in the end, they kiss and everything turns out fine, both for Remy, Colette, and especially for Linguini. As you probably already know, one of the cartoons with the most adult jokes and double entendres is our beloved SpongeBob SquarePants. One scene where this is clear is when the protagonist of the cartoon is watching TV, and we can see he's watching some kind of sea anemone and he's really interested. But when Gary appears out of nowhere, catching him off guard, and he switches the channel to an American football game, it's implied that SpongeBob was watching something not suitable for underage viewers, at least in maritime terms.
Gary!
And it seems like watching inappropriate content isn't exclusive to just SpongeBob, because in one of the episodes of The Amazing World of Gumball, when the protagonist of the cartoon unexpectedly enters Banana Joe's room, he catches the kid watching a video of someone peeling an orange. But you must be thinking, what's so special about that? Considering that Banana Joe is a fruit and his peel is his clothes, then in fruity terms, he was watching a video where someone was getting undressed. That joke was pretty clever. And since the main goal of any joke is to make us laugh, if you've laughed at least once with adult jokes in cartoons, comment below #laugh so we know you're sharp. Now let's talk about one of Disney's most successful movies in recent years. There's a joke in it that kind of takes away a bit of Judy's innocence for those who noticed it. When she's giving Nick a ticket for saying he earns $200 a day for many years, then she starts doing a huge calculation in her head, and then Judy herself says that as a bunny, she's really good at multiplying.
Hey, I'm just a dumb bunny, but we are good at multiplying.
That's definitely a reference to the number of babies rabbits can have over time, as evidenced by the size of her huge family, with nothing less than 275 brothers and sisters. So, got the joke now? Yeah, she was talking exactly about what you're thinking. Just like Ratatouille, which we've already talked about, another movie that was quite successful in the 2000s was Robots. The cool thing about this movie is that the robots got married and had families and children. But you might be wondering, how is that possible? The children came in parts so the parents could assemble them, and when Rodney's parents, the protagonist, receive their child in a package, the father misses the delivery. But his mother says a double entendre line that only adults understood. She says that even if he missed the delivery, it's okay, because the most fun part was making the baby. That one we definitely don't need to explain, right? Cheeky robots. Since we mentioned Alan in the first joke of the video, we have another joke involving the balloon itself, and it's kind of in the same vein as the one we already mentioned. And in this case, there are two adult jokes in a row. In the episode where the mayor is babysitting younger kids, he talks about the importance of eating healthily. Then he kind of eats a whole eggplant. The detail is that when he finishes all that absurd effort, the kid asks how he ate that if at the same time he was using his mouth to talk. Then, the same kid holding a pineapple asks if they should also eat fruits, to Alan's total despair. Those were definitely two heavy jokes in Gumball. We can notice that adult jokes in cartoons are nothing recent, because even in much older cartoons, they were already happening. And believe it or not, we found one of them in one of the most famous children's cartoons of all time. In one of the episodes of Powerpuff Girls, when Miss Bellum is being controlled, she ends up seducing the poor mayor. This happens in a very provocative scene where she flirts with the little old man on his desk, and he gets totally out of control to the point of breaking his pencil. But the worst was yet to come. She takes the mayor's hand and helps him sharpen the pencil, and he gets all cheerful. That's definitely one of the tensest moments I've ever seen in a children's cartoon. And look, that was in the first version of Powerpuff Girls. If you're enjoying this video and discovering or remembering various heavier moments from cartoons, it means the video turned out just the way we wanted. So as a sign of gratitude, subscribe to our channel right now and give us a boost. Moving on to Gravity Falls, we see one of the most embarrassing moments in cartoons being led by Mabel, who's inside her twin brother Dipper's body, and by a male biology lesson Uncle Stan gives her, thinking she's Dipper. Things start getting weird when, because they've swapped bodies, Mabel tries to spy on what her brother was talking about with his friend since she's in his place. The uncle sees the scene and believes Dipper is at the stage of spying on girls through the keyhole. So, as the closest male relative at the moment, he feels obligated to explain a few things to the boy, if you catch my drift, that man-to-man talk. And from the way the conversation ends, it's obvious that Mabel saw way more of the male reproductive system in those 5 minutes than she would in the next few years in biology class at school. Poor Mabel.
Goodbye, childhood.
In Hotel Transylvania, another children's animated film, we also notice an adult joke that all adults understood, but most kids didn't. During the pool party, when Wayne the werewolf pulls Griffin, the Invisible Man's swimsuit, he gets completely embarrassed and starts justifying himself, saying the water was cold and they shouldn't judge him. But he's the Invisible Man and nobody saw anything. Why did he mention the cold water? Well, he was so cold that his skin was completely shriveled, especially down there. At least that's what the joke was implying. In these moments, we see that children's cartoons aren't that childish after all. Speaking of children's animated films, the biggest and best franchise of all couldn't be left out of our list. In Toy Story 2, at a certain moment, long before the last movie in the franchise, Bo Peep pulls Woody aside and tells him that tonight she'll be completely free just for him, because she had asked someone else to look after her sheep. Just by seeing Woody's face, you can understand very well what she's talking about, and even more so what's going through the toy sheriff's mind. Certainly, many impure thoughts, and a lot of them. But from the context, I think Bo Peep's intention was exactly that.
I get someone else to watch the sheep tonight.
Going back once again to the first version of the Powerpuff Girls, the cartoon has one of the adult jokes that made me laugh the most. The three sisters befriend a little girl named Robin and take her home, and then introduce the friend to Professor Utonium. Then they tell how the professor accidentally made the three girls in the lab by mixing the X element into the potion. So Robin responds to the girl's father that he doesn't need to worry about that because she was also an accident.
Don't worry, Professor. I was an accident too.
Seriously, this scene is both sad and very funny at the same time, since it's obvious that the little girl must have heard her parents say that without them realizing. That was pretty heavy, don't you agree? That's why watching cartoons is always so much fun. After all, we never know where the next joke will come from and if it will be something more innocent or something more sarcastic and adult. And since you enjoy it as much as we do, the best thing you can do now is choose one of these two videos that are appearing on your screen and watch it right now. Then come back here and tell me which one you like the most.